sportschatplace.com and pickdogs.com. It's Sunday, June 28th, 2020. The countdown is on. Major League Baseball on the way, NBA on the way. Thankfully, man, it has been a rough road, but we have navigated it together. I'm proud to say that we still continue to show up, whether you like it or not. But, of course, we're live 7 days a week, 365 days a year for this show. Regardless, we will be starting our computer pick show again in the next week or so. I'll be doing video picks once again once the game starts. You guys know I do those the day before the game. I don't do them like months in advance like some of the other guys out there because injuries happen, stuff happens. And quite frankly, nobody watches them until the games are ready to go. So why bother giving old information that nobody cares about? But instead, we got plenty to talk about that nobody cares about. We've got NASCAR. We've got the soccer, which I just actually watched 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of a soccer game. And it was, I'm guarantee you, the other 90 minutes or whatever there was of the game, 88 minutes, the other 88 minutes, I'm sure it couldn't have been as exciting as the last 8. But anyways, going to bring in Steve Monahan just for a general sports update. And Steve, how you doing today?
I went for a walk. I'm dog sitting a golden lab. I don't know if that was the right thing to do. It's so humid out, so I'm like sweating my ass off.
I have a black lab, Sam. Most people have seen him on this video. Sam's pushing almost 5 years old at this point, but I'll tell you what, he hasn't slowed down a bit. And,
yeah, this dog's 5 too, and believe me, he's a freight train.
Yep, Sam's a ball chaser, and he's got what we used to refer to in college as a bong whacking tail. So, and I'll tell you, I love my dog. I don't care what anybody says about him. So,
I'm a big dog lover myself.
I'm thousands of dollars in on puppy training, and I'm pretty I'm good at where I'm at, Sam, he tries, and he does the best that he can, but, he sees a tennis ball and all bets are off, he becomes just, that's it.
That's what they do.
He's ball focused. He's a retriever. He loves some Frisbee too. But anyways, he's got, sports slowly, leaking its way back in. Some other sports news out here. Hopefully this stuff just starts to get buried again, into the thing. UCLA and the Under Armour deal. Who cares?
Exactly. I was just going to say something like that. We're really searching for anything relevant to talk about of any significance.
Yeah.
But the Yankees-Nats being announced as an opener, I think that's a good call by Major League Baseball. That should have it be a ratings bonanza. The Yankees going to the Nationals.
I honestly think you could put the Tigers and the Twins or the Indians against the Padres.
Of course you can, but it's still the Yankees against the World Series champs.
Yeah.
Big deal. I get it.
Who cares?
That's what we're talking about.
You got the
it's the best I got.
The hardest part of that game, and we'll bring the Puck Dogs on, of course, a little later. The hardest part of that one is who to bet against, because it's like these are the two teams that we're going to make the most money betting against this season.
Well, if Gary Cole's on the mound,
mark my words.
If Gary Cole's on the mound, we know who you're betting.
Nationals all day. Strasburg or Scherzer against Cole all day. All day, twice, double down, all in. Cole is easy money to bet against. We've seen it throughout his career. Up against an ace, a guy who can really carve up the lineup, he's in big trouble because we've seen him blow up and blow up and blow up.
I think we differ on our opinion of Gary Cole.
Probably haven't seen as many games as I have either with these guys and dug in as deep, because we've seen this guy. Oh, man. You get to that 5th inning, and it's like 3 runs accidentally slip in somehow, and he's up against Strasburg, who's just mowing him down. It's all over. I've seen it once, seen it a million times.
I don't appreciate you referencing him to one of the Yankees' all-time bust, Eddie Lee Whitson. Back in the day.
I don't think he's in that conversation. But he's a nice number 2, 3 guy. he's not a number one. Like, I mean, he wasn't number one in Houston, and he's not he's not number one anywhere else, unless you have, Paxton into reserve, Tanaka. When Tanaka's on, he's on. But what's that? 3 times a year. Then you have, I mean, look at this rotation. Oh, CeCe's gonna come back and pitch long relief. I mean, that'll be next.
No, that's not happening. CC weighs about 143 pounds now. He was just on Billions. The same last week. He made a guest appearance on Billions.
No, I didn't see that. I watched Billions, but I didn't notice. Billions wasn't on last week.
Whatever. One of the recent episodes. CC.
That's what Billions was not on last week. It's not.
That's right. Because that was 2 weeks ago. And then I don't know what else. The NBA looks like they're going to let the players wear some social statements on their jerseys or something along those lines, which I guess is a good thing. You can't stop this reformation coming along. So
yeah, I think what it is. We've seen this stuff for a while now in the NFL and the NBA. It's been on the shoes, is where they've been wearing it. So, like they even have like auctions for these shoes. And, it's not just protest statements and things like that. We've also seen for charities and for other things. So it's,
I think it's a good thing.
It's fine. It's like, Absolutely. It is what it is. It's like,
So if they do it, you can assure the other sports would probably follow too.
And we can do it too. If anyone wants to do it on our show, they're more than welcome to do it as well. But speaking about doing it at our show, I'm going to bring in Rod and Chris, and we'll catch you at the end of the show for your statement of the day.
Yes, sir.
Let's bring in the Puck Dogs and morning, guys.
Morning.
First things first, UFC last night, we saw one of the better fights. So I didn't badmouth. I just made a statement about the diminishing quality of the fights that we were seeing on the UFC, and then they throw out a card like that where it's like a lot of good fights, right? I mean, it was a good card. All the fights seemed to be competitive, and even the guys that kind of were on the wrong end of the decision, I didn't, the one judge had it like 30-27, the second to the main event fight, and it was kind of like, I don't know how anyone could have given that guy the third round, right, of that fight. I mean, he was getting punched in the face on his back the whole time. But, everyone sees it different, and this is why you don't leave it in the judge's hands. But, I thought the main event was once again it can't get any, that first, second rounds, it just doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Yeah. Fight of the year for sure. At least one of the one in the top 3 for fight of the year.
Yeah,
that was a fight and a half. They just went in swinging.
It's early. I mean, there's still plenty of time for fights of the year, to come up. We're only in June. So, it's a little early to be talking fight of the year, but certainly something that will be in the conversation. It was that fight last night, and I believe, the week before the Emmett fight. So, you got 2 fights in 2 weeks in a row with big fights. And I think it wasn't just that fight. There was some other good fights on the card. There were some competitive fights on the card. And definitely a better showing by UFC last night. And, like I've always said, I like to see a knockout or whatever. How about the guy, the one guy with the beard, the scraggly beard, up against Worthy, right? So he's beating him the entire fight. But you can see every time he tries to get some kind of move on the guy, he's so much stronger, right? I mean, so much stronger. It's like he just tried to get him around the neck, and the guy was just like, right? And then all of a sudden, he had one opening in the third round, over, right? Just done.
Yep.
And it was pretty amazing, that fight as well. Gall, the popular pick by a lot of guys in our forum, going down. Perry, with his girlfriend working the corner, as we talked about yesterday. I'll tell you what, I thought not just the way that he handled himself in the ring, and I mean, absolutely took care of business. I didn't think the fight was as close as the scoring, but all the UFC fighters on Twitter rallying around him, saying, look at this, you know. And does this change? Does this change the way guys train for fights and what they have in their corner? His girlfriend and a cut man against, you know, a crew of trainers and dietitians and everything else, and you know, a clear winner with that. And his girlfriend, you know, really not much advice there, a little bit of ice on the neck and saying, you're doing great.
Hit him in the head. Hit him in the head.
You're doing great.
That's all
Right? It's like, yeah, but it's like, you know what? When it comes down in fighting, it's one guy against the other, and it's, you know, ability, and it's like all those different things. Obviously, she's not going to add the insight to train him to take his game to a new level, to add new moves and things like that, and that's stuff that he would have to discover on his own. I believe he said he will be trying to find some people to help him, yeah. But I think it just goes to show you that you just never know. I know Rod picked him, and Chris did not. On yesterday's show. So I just thought that was a pretty good card, and I thought that was pretty cool that, you know, that he came out, and, you know, it was interesting to hear the guy who won the main event, Poirier, speak after the fight. Most of the time these guys are saying, I'll take anyone on anywhere or whatever. He's like, man, I need some time off. He's just like ready for the ice bath, right? It's like, man, maybe January or something, you know. He was just like, you know, I'm good.
Oh, yeah. I think he took, they took him to the hospital, too.
I believe it, man. That was just a bloodbath.
It was. The other guy was taken off in gurney. I hope he's all right.
That fight and what was it? Is it Green? Was that his name? The one where the 30 to 27 round?
The chubby white guy?
No.
Yeah, I know. No, it was Green and the chubby white guy?
No.
Green was the armbar.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. But anyways, my wife does not like UFC. It's pretty clear on that. But let's get to today's action. We've got some soccer on tap still. We got a few games. I just watched the game that I was referring to. Was the Sheffield versus Arsenal game. 1-0 Arsenal. I turned on the TV. Sheffield hasn't scored all season long. They come down having trouble defending the long passes and long kicks, and holy smokes, you know, Sheffield on the board 1-1, and then Arsenal, a guy that never scores, comes down and, you know, they get a 3-on-2 in extra time. Game over. It was you know, that's the exciting part of soccer, is that it could be this back and forth thing all day long. And, you know, it could be this thing back and forth all day long, but at the same time, you know, then all of a sudden you get this scoring burst, and that's what we saw today. I know Irfan, I saw, had a ticket that he posted in the Facebook group, and I'm gonna guess when they tied the game, he was probably not that excited, and then when they scored the goal, he was probably over the top excited. So, anyways,
I think it just goes to show you, though, that no result in a soccer game is ever safe.
Yeah, Ron is a newer guy that we have at Pick Dogs. He's young, and you'll see him in our premium area as well. So we're excited to have him. He has done a nice job with Premier League. So be sure to check out his picks over at Pick Dogs. But what do we got on tap left for today? I know that obviously Sheffield and the Sheffield game is over, Arsenal. But there's still a few games on tap for today. We've got Chelsea game, we've got Newcastle, Milan, and Roma, Atalanta. I always love that name too. What do we got, Chris? What are you thinking for today on soccer? Anything look good to you? There's a lot of games out there.
Yeah, there's a couple games that look good to me. We'll go back to Atalanta. I'm taking Atalanta -1.5 against Udinese. I mentioned it in the birdcage left on the Facebook group, but Udinese's played teams from the top 4 or 5 times this year. Lost all 5 games, and it was combined 16-2 scoreline. So I'll take Atalanta in a blowout, -1.5. And another one I like Real Madrid to win to nil against Espanyol. Espanyol in last place. Real Madrid's leading the league. Real Madrid, their last 11 trips to Espanyol, 9 wins and 8 of those have came via shutout. So I'll take Madrid to win to nil.
Sounds like we need a Espanyol Paderborn matchup if we could possibly get that going. Rod, what are you looking at today on the pitch?
Well, I had Arsenal as well with Buddy. It's in the Facebook group, the FA Cup.
Congratulations!
So I'm glad Arsenal.
I had the Jets in Super Bowl III.
Nice.
What do you got today?
I have give me Chelsea. I got Man City to win and both teams to score in that match in the FA Cup. Other ones I got Watford versus Southampton. I'm gonna take that a draw.
That one's tomorrow,
Draw
right?
on that one.
Oh no, that one's in about a half hour from now.
That one 36. Yeah, about half hour.
About a half hour.
Yeah. And then I got Villarreal versus Valencia. I got both teams to score and the over 2.5 in that one. And I'm going to throw in at Atlanta -1 at +105 into parlay those up. Give you a nice bird cage for today.
Both the puck dogs on Hotlanta. Anyways, we'll have a recap in just a little bit at the end of the show, but we're going to bring in Jeff Jeter. We got a lot of stuff to go. Chris, you all good on soccer? Rod?
Yeah, we're all good.
All right. We're going to bring in Jeff Jeter. We got a NASCAR triple header. Those big bad mother truckers are ready out onto the track. After yesterday, we had a rain. They only got one of the races in yesterday. So today, a triple header in NASCAR. I like the way that at least somebody thought about this, right? Instead of saying, let's just get the trucks out onto the track and we go, let's do the cup race today because we got a cup race tomorrow, right? So we can't have 2 cup races in the same day, though we have had drivers ride in the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 right in the same day. It's right. We've seen that before. But, we haven't had 2 NASCAR races on the same track in the same day, and that might be a little much. But what they did is this is, it seems, so simple, but sometimes in the way these sports operate, it's like, they treat it like brain surgery. But this one, it's like, it seems like they nailed it. Jeff, what do you think about the way that NASCAR is playing it out today? And this is the first triple header in the history of NASCAR. And I'll tell you what, man, if it was live with fans, whoa, man, the beer sales, I would go for the over on beer sales on a triple header NASCAR day.
Yeah, and to your point, really, what NASCAR has done is, instead of running to halfway or trying to get a portion of the truck race in, they want to do everything they can to get the advertised distance in for each race. So kudos to them to make it a triple header today. Get started at 9:30 this morning. Truck race is going on right now, and obviously after this we'll have the Xfinity Series racing at 12:30, and then right around 4:00 we'll have the Cup race this afternoon, the Pocono 350.
Crazy. And the thing is about NASCAR, we talked about this a bunch. Jeff's talking about the advertised distance, but it's like there really is no advertised distance. It's a sleight of hand. It's like, well, 350 this week means laps. Next week it means miles. Believe me, they'd adjust to kilometers if they need to. They got no problem with. It's the Toronto, 638 and a half. Talking kilometers here. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to this. You would think like super motor speedways, it's the miles always, and then on the smaller, if the track's less than a mile, it's laps. It's I don't know. But we saw the old favorites, pretty much on top. So as a non-NASCAR aficionado, and I would never claim myself to be an expert, and that's why we have you guys here for segments like this, it seems to me that a lot of the same names on top. And this is a traditional thing in NASCAR. So I try not to say this. Well, I say it all the time, don't I? But this is all about who spends the most money on their cars, right? I mean, is that what this is coming down to? Because these guys are all pretty even, Kevin Harvick, Hamlin, all these guys, right? The top 10 drivers or so are all pretty Truex, right? They're all pretty close. Kyle Busch, right? They're all pretty close. Chase Elliott, they're all pretty close. It comes down to who spent the most money on their car. Is there a salary cap in NASCAR, Jeff?
No, there's not. I mean, NASCAR tries to even the playing field across the three manufacturers that are involved. I mean, obviously, not only does it come down to how much is spent on engineering and the motors, but a lot of this stuff you got to understand. A lot of it's they don't want one manufacturer to be just totally dominant for the entire season because nobody watch, But and again, I think it's not necessarily so much how much is spent to an extent. I mean, yeah, there's definitely the money factor, but also, these guys that are on top have been within the the NASCAR Cup Series for 10 years, minus some of the young guns like Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney and those types. But I mean, still, Harvick, he's been racing so long. He won yesterday. Yeah, it took him 39 tries to win at Pocono. And so, but he's finished very well there throughout his career.
Any talk of a short electric car series coming out, because this is the wave of the future and NASCAR is all about advertising, the cars, right? Of what these guys are driving. Obviously, what you get at the Ford dealership is not what they're driving on the track, but the body is the same, except for a few minor modifications. But, electric cars are, kind of, and hybrids, right? Kind of the wave of the future here. Obviously, these cars at this point don't get the distances in at the speeds that these guys are going. Any talk of an electric car series, like 100-mile races, in electric cars? And because I'm sure some of these electric cars, I test drove that Tesla, and I gotta say, man, that thing's got some serious pickup. Anyway,
sure, that's
I mean, my car.
That's a good question.
My little car is 0 to 60 in 4.1, and this thing dusts it. Dusts. I mean, leaves it in the dust, and it's like, I thought my car was really quick out of the gate too. And it's like, no, it's like Back to the Future. Boom, it's like, that Tesla. What do you think?
Yeah, but no, I mean, there's nothing official about any electric cars or anything.
Should we pitch it?
We could pitch it. I'm sure we wouldn't be the only ones, though, right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think we could probably get some of these manufacturers, because BMW, into the electric, Toyota into the electric. Everyone's into the electric, right? We'd have Tesla in here. A few other brands. I think it would be pretty interesting to see. I just think it's the wave of the future, just like trucks. There wasn't always truck races. Truck races is what, the last 25 years, maybe?
95s when the truck series got started.
See?
So
it's 25 years. I nailed it.
25 years.
Nailed it! Just a good, educated guess. Anyways, let's get to the Xfinity race here. Rod, let's talk some Xfinity racing. Who you looking at here in the Xfinity race?
In the Xfinity race, for me, I'm going to take Noah Gragson plus 450. He's been right there all year. And I'm going to take Ross Chastain at plus 800. I think some good value on him. And he's another guy who's been right there in the Xfinity race all year. I'm just going to take those two guys in the Xfinity race.
Is there, Jeff, is there any difference between his Xfinity cars and the Cup Series cars as far as restrictions and budgets?
Yes. The biggest difference is wheelbase. I think the weights are the same, but the motors are they have different horsepower and the Cup Series has a little higher downforce, which means they can stick a lot better around the turns. The Xfinity Series, a little more less downforce, spoilers shorter, which makes it back in, come around a little bit easier. So a little more challenging to drive, but the Cup Series has a little more horsepower. So the Cup Series is a little bit more challenging to drive from a horsepower perspective, but the Xfinity Series is with the less horsepower, you can manage it, but it's still pretty tricky to drive. So,
at what speed does drafting come into play? Because like when I'm in the golf cart, I'll we're flying down the cart path, I'll kind of draft off the guy in front of me, trying to pass him. Like, am I getting anything, or am I just fooling myself? It's like
golf cart speed's fine. No, it's no. I mean,
I'm tucked right in there.
The dirty air, clean air, drafting, it comes into play once you start getting up probably to about 130, 140 miles an hour, and obviously the faster you go, it becomes even more of a factor.
In the club car, or it's not happening for me, is what you're saying.
No, but it would make for a heck of a video, especially if the front car made a mistake.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do one of those tomorrow from Wailea Gold with the boys. But anyways, what do you like today in Xfinity World?
Yeah, I'm right there with Rod. I like Gregson and Ross Chastain. Also like Harrison Burton in the 20 car. He's plus 900. I also like Harrison Burton, the top 3 at plus 180. And I'd like to sprinkle in just a little bit of a long shot, and Daniel Hemrick at plus 1400 in the Junior Motorsports number 8. I mean, this is a top 5 race car, this year, week in, week out. So I would be considering him watch for that 8 car.
So, Ward Burton, he's the son of Jeff Burton and the nephew of Ward Burton. The one of the better. He won the Daytona 500, and it was kind of like I never saw that coming. He was more of a middle of the pack guy, right? And then all of a sudden he won the Daytona 500. It's that's the weird thing about NASCAR. If you can stay close, stay in the lead lap, a lot of things can happen at the end with you're just in the right place at the right time. Before you know it, you're in the winner's circle over there at the Daytona 500, which is craziness. But we move on. Just for a little less downforce, right, or a little more. Is it more downforce? More downforce. We turn over to some more downforce and head over to the big one today. Obviously, yesterday Harvick, he's having a great season, right? I mean, these guys, all the guys at the top, Hamlin, Harvick, these guys are getting it done. Kyle Busch once again up there, Chase Elliott, right? I mean, these are the same guys, week after week after week. Anything going to change here, Jeff? I mean, Joey Logano, what do we got?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting worried about Kyle Busch's speed this year. I mean, he's just been uncharacteristic of him, and he's admitted it. It's been due to a lack of practice, where we've had these COVID restrictions in place, no practice, no qualifying, and not to use it as an excuse, but I mean, he's definitely struggled on the racetrack. Pocono is definitely
you got a new nickname here, new guy. There you go.
Mm-hmm. But I'm still kind of not on Kyle today. I mean, he had top 5 speed yesterday, but and I'm sure that he could be in contention, but I'm just not on him. I like Hamlin at plus 400. Go right back to the well with Harvick at plus 600. And just to be honest with you, I like William Byron again at plus 2,500. They inverted the top 20 from yesterday's results. So Byron's going to be starting 7th on the day. And, Byron's got a better car than probably – he starts 7th. He's got 6 cars in front of him. He's probably better than at least 5 of those cars. So I could see Byron easily getting up to a lead and holding on to it a little bit better today, I think. So
Yeah, Harvick had previously no good things ever happened to him at Pocono, right, until yesterday. That was pretty much the pinnacle. It's like, I think he just has to say, I'm good, right? I'm good. It's like, I'm going to get out of here safe, sound, and alive, and you know what? Over 38, I've been there. It's like, I'm not anymore. It's kind of like when, I play skins with the guys, and I get on the board, and I'm playing horrible, and I just get on the board, like, at least I wasn't shut out.
yeah, when he won yesterday too, it's kind of weird, like not seeing him do a burnout because he's got to use that same car and that same motor today. So I mean that's like most of the guys, with the exception of those that had issues yesterday. Like Joey Logano's in a backup car, but and he'll start in the back. But it would not surprise me a bit. That backup car is just as good as his primary car if he's out there knocking on the door maybe later in the race, or at least cracking the top 10. So,
Rod, who are you looking at in the Cup race today?
For me today, you got to put Hamlin in there. He was right there. I don't see why he won't be right there again. He's been right there all year, actually. So give me Hamlin, and I'm going to go with Blaney. Give me Blaney plus 1,000. I think he'll be right there. And my top 5, I'm gonna throw Kyle Busch in there. He looked a little improved yesterday. I think he can make the top 5. Give me Kyle Busch in the top 5. Give me Truex in the top 5, and give me Keselowski in the top 5. I think.
All right, I'm going to go with Kurt Busch in the number 1 Chevy. I think he's starting in a nice position here. We haven't seen a lot from him. I know Jeter just gave me the dirty look there. But I'll tell you, starting in the 3rd spot today, and not a bad driver in pretty good position. Ryan Newman starting in the 6th spot in the Ford. And then Matt Di Benedetto, a guy whose name has surfaced on this show a few times, in the 21 Ford. These are the type of races, when you have the back-to-back. To me, this is the second game of the doubleheader, right? So anything can happen in here. And I think some of these guys that are starting in the front, I think pretty good spots. Matt Kenseth is, in pretty reasonable position in the 42 Chevy. So, I love, in case you guys haven't noticed, I love the terminology, It used to be in the Skittles Ford, it's like, in the red man chewing tobacco. I like to thank the team at the Red Man 41.
I agree with Rod on Keselowski top 5. I got it plus 165. Other than that, I do have just a couple of matchups I like. I do like Hamlin over Kyle Busch at minus 115. And I like Eric Almirola over Eric Jones.
I was going to say that.
115.
Almirola, Christopher Bell, some names that finished up towards the top that aren't in the in that general thing. So they're in striking position out of the gate. Chase Elliott starting at 25th. So a little bit further back, but it's a little bit of a shorter race too. So.
Just a note, Amarola started on the pole yesterday, and, he finished 3rd, but he led 61 laps yesterday. It is the clean air out on these leaders in the front of these cars is a huge advantage. And so I think track position, today is going to be different. Like, Mitch, you said, kind of be a doubleheader. We're going to see some strategy probably play out with some pit strategy today, things of that nature. You're going to see the field shifting around quite a bit to set up for that final run.
So a few weeks ago, back to this leading the 61 laps. A few weeks ago in the Xfinity race, we had a guy that was exactly the same thing. He was basically clearly the fastest car on the track. You guys both loved him. He ended up winning going away, right? The next race out. So Emerald probably something to watch here. What's the odds on him today at starting in the 18th position in the number 10 Ford?
I didn't mark him down, but I'm going to say think around plus 2,000.
How about Michael McDowell, the 34? He's he's another guy who's kind of in this mix. That's just not as popular of a name to people like me. I look at the starting grid. Chris Boucher. These are guys that are starting up there. So if you're starting in the top 20, it means that you were in the mix yesterday, right? So,
Yeah.
Harvick is starting at 20. He won. So Boucher starting at 11. So he was in the top 10 yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like
saying
saying the numbers
McDowell
in the
call.
brand. What the hell?
I'm not sure what his top 10 price on him would be. I would imagine probably around plus 400. I wouldn't fault you for maybe pulling a top 10 on Michael McDowell, but I wouldn't put a win wager in on that, though.
Why do you hate my Kurt Busch picks so much?
You can get you can get Dowell in top 5 just to make the top 5 plus 4,400. Is Dowell
McDowell
top 5? Yeah. Top
Jimmy
5.
Johnson's,
Amarola top 5 you can get at, I think that's even.
Jimmy starting
plus,
in the 21 spot. Got a lot going
plus
on.
245.
Let's bring the guys back in and let's bring the gang back in and welcome back Chris and Steve. Obviously, we learned a little bit about downforce. That's the thing about having Jeter on the show. We always get a little bit of education. I pry him enough until he finally comes clean with the information. So we got a little less downforce going on here in the Xfinity race. So a lot more horsepower in the Cup Series. So
Amarola to win is plus 1,800.
there you go. Let's do it.
So.
Let's bet that up. I'll go Amarola to win, Amarola to finish in the top 5, Kurt Busch to win, and give me a kicker on I don't know. I just can't.
Dowell. Dowell.
Dowell
top 5.
All right, sounds good to me. Yeah, Chris Bell. Why not? In the 95 Toyota. Speaking of the 95 Toyota, Chris, you gonna start to take us home here for our wrap-up segment?
All right. So, going back to the UFC, and we're talking about Mike Perry, Mickey Gall fight. I'll admit I got that one wrong, but as far as Mike Perry goes, do I see that being a sustainable strategy? Having his girlfriend in his corner? No, because I think you want to still have someone that can help you plan out strategy, spot injuries, rather than just tell you, you're doing great in between fights. But at the end of the day, is it the end of the world either if she's in his corner, if he's winning fights? I don't think it's the end of the world either. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that going forward.
All right. Go to Rod. Rod? Cannot hear you. I'll have to go back. No, can't hear you. We will we'll carry ahead. We'll go to Jeter. We'll come back to Rod.
All right.
Let me get you on the screen. There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, big day at Pocono already started. Just look for hopefully the weather. I'm not sure what the weather's looking like up there today, but it looks fine for now. A lot of racing today. First triple header. Look for a lot of pit strategy today, not only in the Cup race, but also the Xfinity race as well. Track positions definitely very important here at Pocono. So if it's 50 to go and your guy's in 25th, don't panic. It may just be a pit strategy. Focus on the last little bit of the race, and good luck out there today. And if you can, just roll your eyes at Kurt Busch, I guess.
All right. Go to Steve Monahan. Oh, that's Ruffalo. That's not Steve.
Say it like it's a bathroom.
There you go, Steve. Not to be confused with Ruffalo.
No, so I'm starving for sports news, but I was just reading that Sean Lee finished his virtual workout, and I know he's a walking injury, but I do want to make a statement about Sean Lee. I watched him at Penn State. He's going into his 11th year. with the Cowboys. He just turned 34. And you talk about a guy that's been snake bit with injuries, but he is a team leader in a sea of undesirable characters in Dallas on the roster year after year. And I just want to wish Sean Lee, hopefully he has a healthy year and can play and contribute. He's not going to be an everyday linebacker anymore, but Sean Lee's one of the good guys in sports, and I just want to acknowledge Sean Lee.
Our friends
He's going to be a future coach, too. No question. Like a Mike Vrabel type.
Our friends at ESPN released some really groundbreaking news yesterday. Most fans are in favor of an MLB season. They didn't poll me, but I can tell you, I vote yes for sports at this point. I just finished watching Sheffield and Arsenal. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I know the rest of the world will say, this is what it's all about. But I'll tell you, not for me. For me, it's all about baseball. It's all about football. It's all about basketball and NHL. This is the mainstream, and this is what we do, you know. And I just can't wait to get back to it. The show has been some tough sledding for me over the last few months because I don't really have much to talk about except here to, you know, pick on Ruffalo and, you know, I mean, it's almost too easy at this point. And then, you know, maybe ask Jeff Jeter some questions and then, you know, mock some terminology from some of the sports. But, you know, I look forward to getting back to it. I don't even understand why, you know, this is how starving we are for news, is that they post on the bottom line of ESPN, fans in favor of baseball returning. Anyways, I say to that, no shit, you know? I mean, how hard is this? Anyways, bring everyone back for our grand finale. Guys, anything else we want to add to the mix? Because we won't see you guys till Tuesday. Jeter, what's up for next week on NASCAR?
All Indianapolis next weekend. One Xfinity race, one Cup race on Sunday.
Brickyard
so July 4th. Okay.
Brickyard 400?
Yeah.
The Brickyard.
On Sunday the 5th.
Do they have to wear a mask when they kiss the bricks? Is that will the masks be necessary for the brick kiss after the race?
I don't know.
Can we bet on that? Because I know some people that would bet on something like that.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, we should probably have a wager on whether they do it or not. To be, you know, so.
Oh, they're gonna. You have to kiss the bricks. I mean, that's why bother. I only tune in for that segment. You know.
Definitely kiss the bricks.
All right, kiss my bricks. Anyways, have a great day.
A lot of those guys don't carry the mask in their car, right? So.
No, but they seem to have it. Actually, it looks like they do. It seems like they do. So
sometimes I think a guy hands it to him before you gets a camera shot.
Is that the guy who used to be the hat changer? Remember the hat? You know, the hat.
Yeah,
changer?
when they had the hat,
they
give you
hats.
a thing.
Yeah. It's like I like how they finally cut
they
it
had
out,
to take
you know?
they had to take like 40 or 45 like pictures with different hats after a win.
As they're interviewing, right? They change the hats. It's a NASCAR thing, you know.
Well, you got to get the sponsor in there, you know, right?
We should do that with the hat. We should do that with Ruffalo. We should be doing Pick Dogs, Sports Chat, Pick Dogs, Sports Chat.
Yeah, man, we'll get Mitch.
As long as he's not changing shirts, we're okay.
After Kurt Busch wins today, we'll get Mitch up there doing the hat dance.
Is he just such a preposterous pick? Is that what's going on?
No. I like the pick. I just don't think he'll win.
I'm 1-0. It's so far on this show for picking.
You sure are.
I'm undefeated. You know, I could have easily retired undefeated, and I could have gone and said, I haven't lost a NASCAR race in 8 months.
We know that's your favorite thing to talk about.
That's what people. I mean, believe me. Go to some of the other websites that do what we do, and this is exactly what they say. You know, I'm on a 6-0 NFL run. Yeah, you've picked 6 games in the last 14 years. You know, it's like, I mean, we never back down from a game, and I can't wait for that NBA schedule. I see the odds are out on a lot of these games, but like I said, I'm going to hold out on my videos until right before game time so we know exactly what these teams look like, who's rusty, who comes in a little on the chunky side, you know, things like that. Because this is going to happen. It's like, you know, it's like, that's like you get the call from Rob Peters at the Wild Card Gym. It's like, James Toney's like 700 pounds. It's like, Freddie's so pissed.
I'm just happy we get some that they've gone to some nationally, you know, doing these NBA games like nationally televised for the most part. You know, kind of looking at the schedule, I think it's great. You know,
I don't know if they're going to have the package or they're not going to have the package. You know,
like yesterday we were talking about what was it, the Nets Magic, like how awful that game might be. Well, it's not on TV, but like the rest of the games that day are like that second day or whatever, you know. So,
all
looks
right,
good.
Well, have a good day, everyone. I'm going to be hitting the links today, of course, and you know, I'll see you guys tomorrow with Monday with Mitch. I'm not sure what the hell I'm going to talk about because now we don't have I don't have kind of like every day I talk about stuff. So hopefully something happens so I have something to talk about because if not, maybe we'll call Ruffalo and ask him for some sim pick inside information. How are the sim picks going, Chris? Without us.
They're struggling.
Yeah, they are struggling. I believe maybe we might pull the plug on July 1st for sim picks. I have to talk to.
Please.
No, on the website. I mean, nobody reads them. You know, nobody's reading this stuff. All right.
10 laps to go in the trucks.
I just wanted to give the guys something to do. You know, it's like these guys have been writing, and it's like, you know, you got to keep them going because it's like, you know, all of a sudden it's Sunday lasagna night. You know, it's like it's all over. Anyways,
Every day is Sunday lasagna night.
all right. I'll see you guys.